Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the culminating event of Healthcare Month presented by HOSA and Tallo. My name is Crystal, and I am the Education Account Manager here at Tallo. So today I have the privilege of leading all of you through this exciting and informative event. So I wanted to quickly note that one lucky attendee from today will be receiving a $100 Amazon gift card as a thank you for actively participating in our event. So stay tuned until the end of today and we will announce that winner, okay? So I see a lot of you excitedly sharing some kind of emojis as well as talking to us within the chat. So we're going to be kicking things off in just a few minutes, but I'd like to take a moment to drop some webinar knowledge on you, since this may be the first time that you may be attending an event in this format. So one item of note is that your video and microphones will be turned off for the entirety of the event. So if you wave or if you say something to us, we cannot see or hear you, but we really appreciate that you're here. So hi, we're waving back to you. But you can talk to the hosts and panelists via the chat and show your enthusiasm via reactions on the screen. All right, so before we kick things off with our first very exciting session of the night, we are going to take a moment to recognize some really incredible work from student leaders in the Tallo community. So as part of Healthcare Month, Tallo launched a community leader competition where students shared a little bit about why they are interested in pursuing a career in the healthcare field. So after receiving over 200 submissions, 5 posts were determined to be finalists in this competition. So tonight, we are going to have the pleasure of looking through some of those posts as well as voting on them live, which is pretty exciting. So while I can't read every single post live on air, I don't think I would do them justice. I am going to take a second to share the finalists as well as highlight some aspects of their posts. So in the chat, please take a moment to check out the finalist full post by clicking on the bit.lys that are going to be shared by our team. So you can see from Alexa, she just sent those bit.lys out there that correspond with all the posts. So we're going to be voting at the culmination of the event today. So at the very end, we'll go through who is our winner and who will get $1,000 for their post, which is pretty exciting. So we're going to take a second and just talk a little bit about the posts and what they say. So pick you at the next slide. All right, so we first are starting off by a submission by C King 17, and their post was careers that correlate orthopedic physical therapy and biomechanical engineering. So this was a really cool post that went over the differences as well as the ways in which these two different fields kind of overlap and work together to help people within the healthcare field. So that is the first bit.ly that you have access to via the chat. Very exciting information there that I don't have a lot of knowledge for, so I don't want to mess it up and not do it justice, but take a second, look at the bit.ly and see what is available in there. All right, next post. We have Healthcare Community Leader, My Future Career, My Passion, My Goal by ebeth_2005. So ebeth shared all about why they would like to become a surgeon. So it was a really eye-opening post discussing their passions and what has pushed them to pursue surgery within the healthcare field. You know, there are so many different things that you can do with healthcare. I'm seeing people in the chat saying, ooh, surgeon, I want to be one too. Well, maybe you can kind of find a way to connect with ebeth and check out their post, which is on the bit.ly in there. All right, next one. My View for Healthcare by Heaven. So Heaven here would like to share about why they wanted to be a doctor when they grew up, and similar to ebeth, shared a bit about their passions and things regarding medical field. I think for Heaven specifically, they were looking into pharmacy and how that really impacts people and makes an impact on the world. So another really exciting post from one of our community leaders. Yeah, pharmacy, I see people excited in the chat. Okay, next up, healthcare burials that's not right, Barriers in Rural Communities by Sarah_Israel. So Sarah went over all the different barriers that can impact people's access to healthcare and focus specifically on a certain area in Arizona. So how can we make all of these different things within healthcare accessible to people in rural areas, not just in cities, and make it available to everyone? Okay. And then next post. Our very last entry, we have accessibility in both directions by V for Victory. So here we're talking about accessibility for people that may have disabilities or kind of just something that makes them a little bit different, and how we can make sure that accessibility is something across all lines, not just within communities like we were discussing with Sarah's post, but in this example, we're talking about someone who is deaf of heart and hard of hearing, and how we can make sure that we are doing everything we can within the healthcare community to be accessible to them. So again, 5 really incredible posts by our community leaders in here. We are going to drop those bit.lys one more time into the chat. So throughout the event, if you have time or if we have a break, check those out and see which one you would like to vote for to win $1,000 for making an impact regarding healthcare in our community. So pretty exciting. I mean, no pressure. Yes, it's $1,000, so it's pretty cool, but like, go with your heart on this one. We completely trust you. Okay. So with that, we are going to start off with our very first event for the day. So I am very excited to introduce 2 members via HOSA, Anna Feng and Justina Saber, who is going to take us to our first spotlight session with HOSA and then feed right into our panel session. So I'll see you back after the panel.
Okay, thank you so much for that amazing introduction. Hi, everyone. So my name is Anna Feng. I am the president-elect here at HOSA Future Health Professionals. Thank you guys so much for being here with us tonight. We're really excited to learn from the amazing panelists that we have with us here today. So thank you all for your time. And to go ahead, we're going to jump right in. We want to start by thanking our close partner, Tallo, for their support of HOSA Future Health Professionals, as well as their support in organizing this wonderful event for everyone. Tallo has been a great partner of HOSA for so many years, helping us support the leadership and professional development of over 250,000 members around the globe, supporting our scholarship program, leadership opportunities, as well as our international competitive advance program. So we are very grateful for that support.
As Anna said, we are really grateful truly for Tallo and for them providing our membership with so many opportunities to showcase their talent, who they are, and who they are becoming. To begin, we'll go ahead and briefly introduce HOSA Future Health Professionals. So as an organization, HOSA caters to middle school, secondary, and post-secondary collegiate members working towards the common goal of being better leaders, health professionals, and compassionate global citizens. We aim to fill the workforce shortages in the healthcare industry, supporting the needs of future physicians, nurses, dentists, technicians, and so many more professionals that continue to contribute to bettering the health of all of us.
So one way HOSA supports the learning of its members is through the competitive events that we mentioned before, introducing the next generation of healthcare professionals, which is you all, to non-traditional pathways in healthcare, because health, what it means to be healthy, what it means to be well, is changing. Taking care of our communities means looking beyond clinical spaces. So into spaces such as technological innovation, public health, and health information. And HOSA hopes to incorporate this shift in structuring our competitive events to introduce members at the middle school, high school, and post-secondary collegiate levels to a holistic view of healthcare. So whether it's public health, health informatics, emotional well-being, biotechnology, or clinical laboratory science, to name a few, our competitive events are an amazing way to find and explore new avenues in healthcare, or even spark an interest that paves the way for a future career, building the knowledge to one day make the changes that you'd like to see in healthcare.
Service is also vital to HOSA's mission, and HOSA involvement ranges from impactful community blood drives, canned food drives, and other activities, working towards achieving HOSA's Barbara James Service Award. Additionally, members can become involved in the service project that HOSA delegates, and For this year, our service project is Be the Match, an especially meaningful organization that can completely change the lives of bone marrow donors and recipients. The beauty of Be the Match is found in the direct impact a donor can have on a patient's life. Beyond fundraising and advocacy, it brings students and gives them the chance to join the bone marrow registry and save a life before they even fully step into their future healthcare careers. This organization is all about giving back and paying opportunities forward to the future of healthcare. Impactful service opportunities, competitive events, and personal growth is the core of who we are. These opportunities are the root of each HOSA member's unique story.
So that is our introduction. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know that was a lot of information in a very short time. So for those of you that may have questions, please feel free to visit us at our website, hosa.org. Our emails are also on the HOSA website. So please feel free to reach out to any member of the International Executive Council. We would love to hear from you. We'd love to answer your questions. I now like to transition us into the panel of healthcare experts. We have the privilege of having 4 amazing panelists with us today. So let's begin and jump into some questions for them. So panelists, please introduce yourself. We'd love to know your name, title, the healthcare career area you represent, and how many years you've been in healthcare. So anyone who would like to start?
Sure, I'll go first. I see my name there. My name is Jake McPherson. I'm a physical therapist. I am also involved in education within the physical therapy program at the University of Buffalo. And I've been in physical therapy for a little over 15 years.
Hello, I'll go next. Hello, everyone. I'm Evans Pope III. I'm a second-year pharmacy student at the University of Southern California. So I'm a second-year student. So that's in my second year out of 4 total years here at the School of Pharmacy. But in total, I've been in healthcare for about 8 to 10 years because I'm a non-traditional student, and I did work in clinical research prior to beginning pharmacy school.
Hi, everyone. I'm Miranda Steinkoff. I'm really excited to be here with you tonight. I am currently the Academic Leadership and Education Fellow with the American Association of Colleges of Pharmacy. So I work for an organization that represents all of the schools and colleges of pharmacy across the country, and also individual members who are faculty members or administrators within the schools and colleges of pharmacy. And before that, I worked clinically for 2 years after I graduated from pharmacy school. So I'm really excited to share all of my experience with all of you tonight.
I guess that's me at this point. Hey, everyone. My name is Rafael Castaneda. I'm the Vice President of Workforce Development and MedCerts. We are a allied health training program. We work with significant healthcare systems around the country. We partner with colleges and universities. We work with hundreds of American job centers to help students come through certification training and be able to go get really great jobs. And then when they're ready, take that to the next step and go to college. So excited to be with you here today and looking forward to the conversation. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. So to kind of get us, started and going, our first question is, what first made you interested in the industry that you're working in right now?
I'll jump in. So, I was in high school once. I may not look like it, but I was there trying to figure out what that next step was going to look like, and I found myself. I was really interested in education, so I thought maybe I was going to be a biology teacher. And I also was drawn to the sciences, which is where the biology piece comes in. But I was also interested in healthcare and being physically active. So when I learned more about physical therapy, it was sort of the perfect union of those things, where you're helping people return to movement and restore their activity. You're educating them in how to do so, and there's certainly a strong science component to being able to help people do that. So it was sort of a natural fit that I'm fortunate to have fallen into.
I can comment next. So back when I was in high school thinking about what career I wanted to go into, I was really involved with volunteering and found a real love for helping people and connecting with them. And found out from some mentors that they felt like it would be a really good opportunity to go into healthcare in some way, and that especially my love for connecting with patients and communities, that pharmacy would be a really good opportunity because of how accessible they are to patients and to broader communities. And I'm really grateful for that advice because I do love what I get to do in pharmacy.
All right. So I think my story is very similar. Just exposure is very important. So I think honestly, it starts with my childhood. So my parents just really exposed me to various individuals who looked like me, honestly, in the community. So being an African American, growing up in Nashville, Tennessee, my parents went out of their way to expose me to healthcare providers who are members of the Black community. So going through school, like all of you, I had a lot of interests. However, upon graduating from the University of Tennessee, that's my alma mater. So any volunteers out there, hello. But yeah, so upon graduating, my mom actually encouraged me to apply for a job as a pharmacy technician at Walgreens. And honestly, that was the experience at the time I didn't appreciate. However, that was really a turning point for me. And I was able to interact with individuals in my community. Believe it or not, my cousin, who's also a pharmacist, was in pharmacy school at the time, and she worked just 5 minutes down the street. So while we both worked for the same company, just a few minutes away from one another, we got to interact at work and interact with individuals in our community, which led me to eventually enroll in pharmacy school.
I think mine is purely accidental, actually. I was involved with the Associated Students, and actually got the opportunity to work with academic leadership, and got dragged to all of the committee meetings and the faculty senate, and like just a bunch of places where you're, again, as Evans had said, exposure to things where I actually found myself starting to pay more attention to things that I literally thought I probably wouldn't be interested in. And then fast forward several decades, we don't need to know how many, but that has just been something where I kind of found my passion in there. And I'm very much interested in finding out how to build and move beyond concept for learners. That we can talk about a lot of great things, but what is the actual pathway between K to job? Right. And in this country, there's these segments that you have in your life, K through 12, post-secondary, and then the workforce. I'm interested in making that a very seamless process. So I rely on my accidental experiences, but realize that it became a passion over time. And I think that with all the brain power that we have in this world, we should be able to come up with those pathways where they're affordable. They're very, very clear on the next steps. And we actually do have MedCerts actually just signed a contract with the University of Tennessee at Knoxville to be able to articulate credit for our graduates into their degree programs, and then also be able to attend under their brand for our certification program. So I actually take credit for them moving up the football rankings because of that agreement. I'm just kidding. That's not true at all. But I think for me, it was accidental, but I was really excited about it because now I can't think about doing anything else. So I guess my 2 cents would be, lean into a lot of this stuff. It may not necessarily be what you thought you would be doing right away, but you might find something pretty special just based on being exposed to a variety of different things.
It's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Moving on to our next question. Speaking to the future of healthcare with all the healthcare professionals on this call, what current or future trends do you see occurring in the healthcare industry?
I'm happy to jump in first on this one. I think there's a couple of things that I'm really excited about in healthcare in general, and also specifically in pharmacy. One of those that are very general to healthcare is health equity. I think in all different sectors of healthcare right now, we're having really important conversations about to overcome disparities that have existed for a really long time in our healthcare system, and how we can really make a difference in those as individual healthcare providers and within the systems that we've created to help take care of people. So I'm really excited about having those conversations on the national level, on state levels, on local community levels, to really help to move that forward. I'm also very excited about a lot of transition and change that's happening specifically in pharmacy right now. I don't know if all of you are aware, but there's a kind of a really big shift happening in pharmacy practice right now that has to do with kind of moving from this identity of only dispensing medications to patients, but really moving into both dispensing and taking care of patients, actually providing patient care to patients in many different settings, in hospitals, in clinics, and in pharmacies. And lots of other settings too. So I'm really excited about how the opportunities that I have and that all pharmacists have to really help that transformation move along. And I just think that there's going to be so much growth and opportunity in that space over the next couple of years and beyond.
Exactly. And yes, I'd like to follow up. So yes, being in pharmacy as a student, I'll say yes, health equity is of utmost importance. So for those of you who may not be aware, so health equity is simply put, just offering the opportunity for everyone to receive the healthcare products, services, advice that is necessary for the individual person or the specific population. So just giving everyone opportunities for just good healthcare. With that said, yes. To follow up, another great, just amazing transition, in my opinion, is a focus on digital health. So all of you all, I'm sure, have a cell phone. You like to text your friends and use the internet. So one of the things that we're seeing, and this is one of my other passions, is just a shift to incorporate these things like our phones into our healthcare. Right. So we've all heard of various apps. So you have apps for games. You also have healthcare apps. So those things could be used to monitor blood pressure. Some of you may have grandparents or other individuals in your family who take medication. So pill reminders, things of that nature have been digitalized essentially. So that's a big shift that we're seeing in healthcare, and pretty soon, I know some of the other panelists, I'm pretty sure will agree. So, 10, 15 years ago, we heard smartphone. It was my smartphone. Now that's just referred to as a phone. So with that said, pretty soon we won't hear digital health. It will just be another part of healthcare. So those are a couple more changes that are happening now, and I foresee will be leading to great changes in the future.
That's great. So I think one thing I'm particularly excited to see is the degree that we're having what we call interprofessional collaboration, more so now than ever before. Within certain health systems, traditionally you'd have the physical therapist who just does PT things and is very siloed and focused just on one thing. And then you've got a pharmacist who's traditionally maybe focused on something related to medication, and medicine who's has a little bit of a different role within the system. But what we're seeing now is this more collaborative effort where medical professionals are beginning to communicate more about what is influencing their decisions, and being a little bit more holistic in how patients are being managed. And really, each of our different disciplines brings something a little bit unique to the table, and all of us are trained to observe things in a slightly different way. So when you're able to have these group discussions about what the best path forward might be, to have, again, everybody's different backgrounds, to be a part of that is really improving outcomes for patients.
It's some great sentiments. When I think about healthcare, I think about, how can we make health education more accessible? And what I mean by that is, if you look at the landscape in healthcare today, there's an emergency or a crisis in terms of, who's going to be caring, who's going to be providing the care. And that's a lot of what I do every day. We seek to help students get certified in certain disciplines, pharmacy technicians, EKGs, surgical techs. There's a dramatic level of gap in terms of supply and the opportunities for those roles. So I work with major healthcare systems every day. Common Spirit is one where they have like 4,000 open ST jobs. So what I want to do is I actually want to shift that health education opportunity into K-12. And we have a model where you can start taking courses as early as the 9th grade. And then upon graduation from high school, become certified and immediately move into a medical assisting role, or move into a pharmacy technician role, or move into a surgical technologist or EKG tech, or whatever it is that you like to do. Just make sure you like to do healthcare. And then, when you're employed and you're going along with those employers, at some point you're probably, maybe I want to go to a higher level of educational level. And that's where those articulated credits come in. So in my mind, it's still thinking about, how do we solve the healthcare issues with direct to patients? But I'm also thinking, like, who's going to be providing that service? Who's going to be providing that care? Our birth rate is not, outpacing the death rate. It's actually the opposite of that. So our population is getting older. We need more young people to lean into healthcare, to go through these careers and care for our populations as we go forward. Right now, it's a little difficult to become a nurse. You have to spend a lot of years in school, and a lot of times there's a several-year wait list. I feel like it's part of my responsibility to try and make that faster, or more seamless for students who might want to choose that early on in their life, to say, you know what, I'm going to go into a healthcare career and I'm going to try it that way. So instead of making it more difficult with more obstacles, I'm really passionate about and really seeking, very clear, efficient pathways for learners, all learners, to be able to choose this pathway and ultimately move into the healthcare education space, and then have a great career and be able to help people as they go along, which I think is a really passion-based and something that we should all invest in and lean into. So I think about it from more on the education side, on who's going to be doing the work, and providing hopefully real clear, affordable options for those learners. Because we need great people taking care of our population, and I want to be taken care of when I'm older. So please jump into this and do a great job. Thanks.
I actually really love that. And I resonate with that because I'm a certified nursing assistant and I got that from high school. So it was honestly really eye-opening to get that in high school. So really love that. But our next question is, what does your typical day look like?
I guess I'll start off. So as a student, as you would guess, my typical day starts off with preparing for class. So that could be just waking up, having breakfast. I'm a coffee drinker. I really like coffee, different flavors. But yeah, so coffee, food, and just preparing for my day. So we typically have about 2 to 3 hours of class, Monday through Friday. This semester, I actually have a clinical rotation every Wednesday. So all day focused on patients. But throughout the day, I'm thinking about, my classes. It could be preparing for a quiz, a test. It could be an assignment. You all know how that goes. I really don't have to talk too much about it. I would say the difference between high school, undergrad, and a program like pharmacy school, and I would assume other professional programs, is just the amount of work, the level of expectation, as well as just the time commitment. So, the time commitment it's there. You have to put forth quite a bit more effort. I must say it's worth it in the end. I don't say this to scare anyone off or deter anyone, but you are essentially preparing yourself to care for patients. So as mentioned by Raphael earlier, would like someone to care for us in the time of need. Specifically, you know, when we get older, we may have parents, grandparents who suffer from various diseases, disorders. So we want individuals who are thoroughly prepared to care for them. So my day varies based on the weeks, and yeah, it's school. You all know how that goes, but yeah, it's a great opportunity to learn.
I'll jump into this one. I think for me, it's, you know, the day is spent talking to healthcare systems in colleges and universities. One thing I will tell you though is that you need to like dovetail or weave in some stuff that you like to do. This in my mind helps. This is like number 11 meeting for me today. So just make sure that you're weaving in things that you like to do in the, you know, as you go through your day, right? This is just my 2 cents. Take this or throw it out the window. It's completely up to you. But in my mind, I think that what gets me excited to go into my next conversation is always thinking about, you know, what is this about? How have I done something that like fills me up? You know, I've got children and I have a dog, so maybe I'll go pet the dog or talk to my children, you know, or do something along those lines, or watch something real quick on Netflix and then go into my next meeting. So the one thing I always do is I try to dovetail that into my day, because we are talking about important things, and the last thing I want to do is not show up. So just take it from somebody who does a lot of meetings every single day. Always weave something that you like to do into your day. Just I find that it helps maintain motivation. I don't know if that's helpful or profound. I don't know, but my 2 cents. There you go.
Thanks. I want to tell you all a little bit about my current position, and then maybe a little bit about my previous position, because my current position is a little bit non-traditional for a pharmacist, which I think is cool to hear about, maybe a less traditional role, and then maybe something a little bit more traditional to what a pharmacist might do. So my current role, I'm the fellow at the American Association of Colleges of Pharmacy, as I said. And that's so day to day, I'm really focused on creating programs, services, resources for our members, which are schools and colleges of pharmacy and faculty members and leaders who work at those schools. So I work a lot on creating learnings for them. So how to teach teachers, so how they're going to teach the pharmacy students all the time, which is really exciting to be able to work with all of those great minds across the country to help prepare pharmacy students. And then I also get to do things like work on grant projects. So right now we have grant projects that are funded by the federal government that are really focused on health equity, which I was talking about before. So an example of one of those is we're working with colleges and schools of pharmacy in Illinois to increase the number of Black pharmacists in those programs. So that's something we're really excited about, sort of piloting in one state, and then that we're going to kind of try and take to other states to really help to further diversify our workforce, to make sure that we have pharmacists who look like the patients that they're taking care of. So that's been really exciting. And sort of on the day-to-day, similar to what Raphael said, this is, I think, our 8 or 9 of my meetings today online. And a lot of my work is hybrid now. So we do work at our office about 1 to 2 days a week, but then I also work from my apartment as well, which has really helped with my work-life balance. So that's been really nice too. But I also want to tell you just a small bit about what I did before this position, which was a residency. So that's like another clinical training program that I did after I finished pharmacy school. And it was really structured as if I was a faculty member at a school of pharmacy. So 50% of my time I spent taking care of patients at a clinic. And basically what that would look like is I would go to the clinic in the morning, and that would happen 3 days a week. I would go to the clinic in the morning and prepare to see my patients, look at their charts, make sure I knew what was going on with them. And then throughout the day, I'd have about 1-hour appointments where I would actually talk to those patients. If they came into the office, I would do things like check their blood pressure, I would check their blood sugars, and help them to manage those diseases. So help them to lower their blood pressure, help them to lower their blood sugars if they had diabetes. And so that was very rewarding work to be able to work with patients all day, every day to really help them to better control these diseases that they had. And then the other part of my time, so 2 days a week, I worked teaching at the School of Pharmacy that I worked at, which was Pacific University out in Oregon. And I did things like lesson planning, actually teaching lessons in like skills-based lab where we did things that were more hands-on, and then also lecturing about different disease states and how to manage those with medications, because as pharmacists, we really are the medication experts. So that's always what we are focused most on. And then I also sat on committees and did things like research. So I guess my takeaway from all of this would be going into pharmacy or really any of the healthcare professions, you can do so many things with those degrees that you get. Once you kind of start going down that trajectory, they're just doors start to come open in a lot of different areas, and you can find something that you're really passionate about. So I'd be happy to answer more questions about some of those experiences. And sorry if I took a long time answering that, but I just wanted to make sure I gave both of those perspectives.
Yeah, so a typical day as a physical therapist, it may depend a little bit on your setting, but similar to Evans, I prefer to start my day with some coffee, get things rolling, and then if it is a day where I'm in the clinic, similar idea. You're preparing, you're looking to see who's coming in, if you've seen them before, getting acquainted with what's going on, and then once you are meeting with individuals, you're really, you're trying to determine what is impacting their movement. And one of my favorite skills is being able to just watch somebody move, and based on what I'm seeing, already have an idea in my head of what might be holding them back from moving better. And then you conduct an examination, sort of confirm if you're on the right path with what you might be thinking is affecting their mobility. And then you get to start giving them the tools to improve it. So it can be really rewarding, especially when you can create some change in the short term. And depending on the setting, you would be working with individuals in a hospital or more in an outpatient or ambulatory care environment, and they may be coming to you for balance training or recovering from a stroke or improving their function if they have chronic disease. So there's just a wealth of opportunities depending on your interests. And if you don't know your interest early on, that is not a problem. There'll be plenty of times to be exposed to different learning opportunities, and that really helps you chart your course.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. That sounds like very exciting work. Also love the coffee support. I actually have a cup with me right now. So major coffee fan here too. I think we have about 2 more questions before we turn it over to an audience Q&A and take some questions from you all. So one more. Do any of your organizations have opportunities for healthcare students to shadow or intern? And if so, could you expand a little bit more?
So I'll jump in on this one. So we do, but it's not with our organization. It's with our healthcare partners. There is a concept, I guess some organizations are actually following through on. It's called early career. So what's really exciting about that, and this did not exist when I was in school, which is kind of sad, but I'm glad that it's here now, is that people are able to experience things at a much better cadence than they had been in the past. So healthcare systems have opportunities for, people that are interested in these types of things. Maybe you're in a nursing club or something like that at your institution, or a pharmacy club or something along those lines. There's opportunities to actually work at a large healthcare system and shadow and see what they do. Now, obviously, some of these environments can be high pace, dangerous if we don't know what we're doing, those types of things. But there's something to be said for an actual residential or on-site experience. There's no replication for it in any simulation or online world. So our organization promotes that. We promote it not only for K-12 students, but also adult folks who might want to try something out, especially if they're currently in a program. And then if they are in a program, there's always going to be an on-site clinical experience associated with this. So I echo what Dr. McPherson said, like always, try things if there is that opportunity. A lot of organizations have early career options that you can try out and see if it works. You may not be in a surgical theater, handing calipers to a surgeon. That might not be the experience. But maybe you could be looking through the window of that surgical theater and exposed to a surgery, which is fascinating if you ever get the opportunity to do it. I actually did it at Keck at USC once. I am not a healthcare expert. Let's say that. You want me on the education side, not actually in that environment. So those do exist. I would say it just takes research and asking the right questions.
I'll jump in because I think my answer is going to be very similar to Raphael's, in that because I work at the American Association of Colleges of Pharmacy, we don't specifically take student interns ourselves, but absolutely all of our schools and colleges would be extremely interested in having you as high school students come and see what their programs are all about and connect you with different places that they know that pharmacists are working. So in community pharmacies, in clinics, in hospitals, they'd be able to make those connections for you. So I would definitely encourage you to reach out to a school or college near you, or even not near you, if you know that there's a different one that you're interested in. And I did just drop a link in the chat that actually will allow you to see all the schools and colleges of pharmacy across the country. So that will make it hopefully easier for you to be able to find one that you might want to contact.
Okay, to follow up on that. So with that said, the University of Southern California School of Pharmacy does not have an opportunity to directly shadow or intern within the pharmacy school. However, I will let you all know. So just a few weeks ago, we actually started our pilot program for something called Saturday Academy. So Saturday Academy is a program for high school students. So it's open to 9th through 12th graders to expose them to the fields of pharmacy as well as pharmaceutical sciences. So this year we have about 20 students from various high schools within LA County. So they come onto campus for several hours every Saturday for 6 consecutive weeks. And we do a lot of hands-on activities and offer mini lectures. I emphasize mini lectures. I know you all aren't a fan of just sitting there and listening to people speak, especially on Saturday morning. I know I like to be outside or watching cartoons when I was, growing up. So yes, we do our best to make it fun. I promise. We really do things. So just last year, the students actually made a cream. So we walked them through the process, and it was a clotrimazole cream. And we also just utilized that time to show them what all a pharmacist can do. So as mentioned earlier, there are so many things that a pharmacist can do. So that Saturday Academy program just serves to expose high school students to all the things that are possible within the field of pharmacy as well as pharmaceutical sciences. But I will encourage you all, if you're interested in exploring pharmacy as a career, feel free to go to your local pharmacy. So it might be a Rite Aid, CVS, Walgreens, independent pharmacy, and just speak with the pharmacist. I promise you, they'll speak with you. I promise you. A lot of us will attest to, the importance of speaking to other individuals about our careers and letting students, especially, in high school, know about the opportunity. So if you go to your local pharmacy, speak with the pharmacist, speak with the pharmacy technicians, and just ask them questions. Don't be afraid, and I'm sure you'll get great responses.
Yeah, these are great comments. I think, I would not be afraid to put yourself out there with these different experiences. Sometimes, it may make you uncomfortable to think about calling a business that you're not familiar with, or to walk in and try and speak with somebody. But most individuals who get into healthcare, in fact, the overwhelming majority, are there because they want to help individuals. And that also includes helping the next generation achieve that state and be able to keep their individual profession going. With physical therapy, it's very common to have high school students, individuals who need, sometimes they need hours in order to apply for a professional program where they're observing. So we have that frequently in our clinic. And then as you progress your way through the sort of educational continuum, there may be more opportunities that are more structured, where you may work as in a position called a physical therapist aide, where you're, depending on the state you're in, you can help with certain tasks within the clinic. And then within academic programs, there's more structured internships and clinical affiliations where you're beginning to participate more in the delivery of care. But at every level, you're getting a little further within that profession. But even if you go and you observe and you realize maybe this isn't what I thought it was, at least and then you beat down the next door and you try and see if the next shoe is the one that fits best.
Thank you so much for those amazing answers. So we're gonna go ahead and take some questions from the audience. I see a lot of really good questions piling up in our Q&A. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start with, this is a good one. For all of you as healthcare professionals, I'm sure your work life is quite busy, this being your 8th or 9th meeting, some of you mentioned. So how exactly do you balance work and social life, that work-life balance?
I don't think that's necessarily unique to healthcare. I think across the board, everywhere, especially over the last few years, everybody has been more engaged for a greater proportion of the day, I think, than they're used to. So it's, I think Raphael did a good job of describing how he finds these ways to just check out, even if it's just for a few minutes. I've started to take more meetings via headset and I walk the campus. So I'm getting some steps in, and I'm actually a better participant in most of those meetings, unless it's something where I have to be glued to the computer. But it really has made a big difference for me. So anything that you can do to, physically relieve some stress or just even mentally check out for a few minutes between important tasks, it keeps you fresh. It really does.
Yeah, I really want to piggyback off what you said about keeping yourself fresh, because I think sometimes people have this belief that I think we're moving away from, but that the more you work, the harder you work, the better the worker you are. But I think what we're really starting to realize and find is that you need that break and that downtime and the time away from your work and what you're doing to actually be the best that you can be at it. And so I think that increasingly the places that I've worked at have been really supportive of that. As much as they can be. I mean, we know that it has been really challenging in healthcare recently with the pandemic and everything that's been happening. I mean, we had to work really hard, but at the same time, I think we also saw how important it is to take care of ourselves as healthcare workers as well. So there's a lot of initiatives going on out there right now about really centering that in the work. I would say for me personally, I try to be really specific with myself about what hours of the day I'm going to work. And that's not always like normal business hours. And I have the ability to do that based on where I work right now at the association level. But I think, that was possible for me when I was sort of in a faculty role too, that you can kind of use the hours of the day that you can get the work done best. So if you're like a night owl, work at night, and then maybe you don't work in the morning and you do something for your health in the morning instead. So I think it's just about finding what works best for you and trying to find what career path then can match up with that and what individual job could match up with that as well.
I completely agree. One thing I'll say from the student's perspective, I would say, if you remember anything that Evan stated, you cannot be involved in everything. I think that's very important. As students, we oftentimes think about trying to check every box. So I'm here to tell you it's impossible. You can't be at every event. You can't accept every internship. You can't hold every position. With that said, it's important for you to prioritize. So what is most important right now? What's most important within the next week, within the next month, this semester, etc. And also, as mentioned, take time for yourself. So I've lived away from home for several years, very far from home. So, simple things like just calling my parents, speaking with family members, with friends, and it could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes. Those things are very important. I'll say, one thing that you all may have heard, but also, take this to heart. Your health is your wealth. You might have all the money in the world, but it's not gonna matter if you're not feeling your best. And, you know, for those of you who are interested, which I'm assuming all of you in healthcare, you know, you don't want to be hypocritical as well. So, you know, if you're not doing some of the things that you are advising your patients to do, you know, it may come across and it's sometimes harder for you to give great advice. So, you know, those are some of the things, but importantly, just, you know, just take time for yourself. And get sleep. That's something else. I mentioned coffee, but you know, coffee, sleep, I know they're not you know, they don't go well together, but definitely try your best to get sleep. Again, as a student, I know some of you, you know, it's not a great habit. So, you know, try not to cram, try not to stay up, you know, extremely late, because, you know, at a certain point, I'll say this again, it's not gonna matter. You know, at 2, 3 a.m., you should be asleep. Just go to sleep, because, you know, your mind definitely needs that rest. Your body needs the rest. And I can say I'm a very non-traditional student. I'll say, you know, it catches up with you. What you do at 15, 16, 17, you cannot do at 30 plus. I promise you. Just trust me on that. You don't want to find out. So no all-nighters. I wish I could see all of your faces and ask you to promise that you won't pull all-nighters, but I don't want to take up too much of your time on that one. But yes, that's very important.
The 2 cents that I would add in echoing all it, just be intentional. You know, you schedule stuff, schedule something. You know, this 15 minutes here between meetings, like you could keep working, or you could take a step away and do something for 15 minutes. Like a 20-minute cat nap can change the world. Just keep that in mind. Be intentional about it. It's the only thing I would tell you. You're smart people. You'll know what to do.
Okay, I think we only have time for one more question. So Chelsea has asked, if you could tell anything to your younger self, what would you tell them about healthcare or the path that you're in right now?
Okay, so with that, I would say to my younger self, just again, I really love that. I really love what Raphael said. Be intentional, focused, yet understand that every shortcoming, everything that you might deem a failure is not necessarily a failure. Dr. McPherson mentioned it earlier. You know, a lot of times we focus on this trajectory that, you know, everything will be linear. You may have heard that it just goes up, and that most often does not happen. Sometimes, you know, you need to find out what you don't like, what you can't or won't tolerate, what's just not best for you. And, you know, just take things in stride, take your academic career serious, but also, you know, just have fun. Don't add too much pressure to yourself. And that is what I would tell my younger self.
This is a fun question. I would tell myself, you got this. You know, there's going to be times when things aren't going your way and you're wondering, am I really on the right path? Is this the way I'm supposed to be going? And that path will likely change, and for the better. You know, I envisioned that I was going to be working with a very specific sports related population, and I got into my field, and all of a sudden I'm treating individuals who have neurologic issues, and I took a faculty position, and things changed dramatically from where I thought they were going to go. And I was scratching my head sometimes wondering, is this really what I'm supposed to do? But, you know, I couldn't be more thrilled with the variation of what I get to do every day. And I think, you know, that self-doubt can really get in your way and prevent you from achieving what you're capable of.
Here's what I know. I don't know everything. I know that for a fact. I don't have all the answers. No one does. So what I would tell my younger self is life is a series of experiences. Some are going to go well, some are not. That's okay. You know, healthcare is a great place to be because you get to help other people. And you may never like show up on a report or like get praise for it or anything. but you are making a difference in this world. And that is a big deal to the person that you're helping right at that moment. So whether you're helping them to get into bed, get out of bed, if you're helping them feel better, have less pain, maybe have less anxiety, there's a whole litany of things that you could be doing that won't show up on, the feed. But I will tell you that it is an important thing to try. I love that my fellow panelists have said sometimes you might not like it, and sometimes failing early is a good thing. You're like, wow, that was great. I am not doing that again. And then you go on to the next thing. So at the end of this, all I can tell you is that no one has all the answers. I don't, you don't. Just try things, see if it works. If not, pivot, go somewhere else, take the advice from the people that you care about. But healthcare is a great place to be for a career because it is rewarding and it is something that is very interesting every single day. Just make sure that you try it. And it might be something that you do for the rest of your career.
I'll try to wrap this up quickly, but I think what I would tell my younger self is to trust myself and follow my passions, because as other people said, it's not going to be perfect. What you think you're going to do one year is probably not what you're going to be doing the next year. And I've often found that I'm doing something better than I could have even imagined, or something I didn't even know existed before. But I think it's all about trusting yourself and that you should be where you're at, not feeling like an imposter, which is so much easier said than done in a lot of these settings that you will find yourself in. But if you're there, somebody believes that you're supposed to be there. So you should believe in yourself too. And I think I've always found that when I'm trying to make a hard decision, following my passion and my heart has really served me really well. So I would encourage you to do the same thing.
Thank you so much for that amazing advice and all of the invaluable insight that you shared with us today. I know I learned a lot from hearing from you all, so I hope you all enjoyed hearing from our amazing panelists as well. We are running a little bit low on time, so I am going to pass it over to Tallo to announce a community leader competition. But thank you again for taking the time to speak to us today. We really appreciate it.
All right. I mean, I think you said it all, Anna. Thank you so much to all of the panelists that were joining me today. I know I kind of lost track of time for a second, just kind of listening to everything that you were saying. And I was like, oh man, okay, we have to actually wrap things up quickly because people have places to go. But thank you all for attending. And then for our HOSA representatives, you all moderated that perfectly. So we really appreciate all of you being here today. So it is time for us to vote on our community leader competition. So we are going to be launching a poll in a second with all of the options that are on the screen here. So we'll keep the poll open for about a minute or so. It'll pop up on your screen. I know some people are a little confused. It'll pop up on your screen and you'll be able to see it. And I'll just quickly review all of the incredible finalists that we have here. All right, so the poll should be live for you. So we just have the usernames of the individuals that posted these incredible kind of overviews of why they decided to get into the healthcare field. So as a reminder, we have careers that correlate, orthopedic physical therapy and biomechanical engineering by C. King 17. We have healthcare community leader, my future career, my passion, my goal by E. Beth 2005. We have My View for Healthcare by Heaven, Healthcare Barriers in Rural Communities by Sarah Israel, and Accessibility in Both Directions by V for Victory. So we'll leave this open for a minute or so as I kind of go through the closing, and then we will announce our winner live, okay? So really exciting stuff. And it was pretty cool listening to the panelists talk, because I think some of the things that they were saying were really coming up in some of these posts, kind of making sure that there's accessible healthcare for everyone, as well as making sure that people feel like they have a part in healthcare and that they are being represented within it. So it was cool to kind of see that resonate from everyone within there. All right, so as you're voting, I just want to take a second to just thank everyone for everything they've done throughout all of Healthcare Month. So thank you to our partners at HOSA and all of our panelists and session hosts, to you attendees for showing up today and participating. I know the chat has been going wild from the panelist view, and it's really exciting to see your involvement. We are going to be sending a recording of the event as well as the resources that were discussed, along with some information about upcoming events to all attendees. So if you missed absolutely anything, do not fear. You will get kind of an overview of all of this because I know there was a lot of interest. All right, so I think that the poll has been open for about a minute. So I'm going to have our event host close that poll. Okay, so to close the event, we have a couple of winners to announce. So we have our gift card winner, who is going to be getting a $100 Amazon gift card. So to our participant today, we have Sarah Voigt. So you are our winner for the $100 gift card for participating in today's event. So just reach out to community@tallo.com. We'll put that in the chat and we'll follow up with next steps so you can make sure you get that $100 gift card. Okay, and then the moment that we've been waiting for, our community spotlight winner of $1,000 is V for Victory for accessibility in both directions. So thank you for everyone in their submissions. They were all absolutely incredible and inspiring. But V for Victory, please reach out to community@tallo.com and we'll follow up with the next steps to make sure that you get your $1,000. Okay. Again, thank you for partners and everyone attending. We really appreciate having you here tonight and today, depending on where you are, and we will see you next time. So bye from Tallo.